Let me ask you something. Name the top 3 scorers in NHL history. Go ahead, take a second. Most of you said Gretzky first, right?
The youngest player to score 50 goals and capturing his first of 8 consecutive Hart trophies.
Some of you said Jagr, right?
Put that on your highlight film. What a goal by Jaromir Jagr.
A few of you probably said Gordie Howe.
Presenting all of hockey with great distinction for 5 decades, number 9.
Here's who you didn't say. Marcel Dionne, 731 goals, 1,771 points. Second on the all-time goals list when he retired behind only Gordie Howe. Now, 1979-80 season. Gretzky's first full year in the NHL. Head-to-head, same season. Who won the Art Ross Trophy? Almost all of you just said Gretzky. Marcel Dionne won it. 53 goals to Gretzky's 51. Both finished with 137 points. The tiebreaker was goals scored. Dionne had more. He won the scoring title in Wayne Gretzky's own breakout season against the player who would become the greatest of all time. He won the season. Gretzky won the story. So here's the question that should bother you. If Dionne won, if he has the hardware, why does Gretzky own that season in every hockey conversation that's happened in the 45 years since? Because the hockey world made a decision in 1980, not about who scored more goals, about which story it wanted to tell. It chose Gretzky, and Marcel Dionne, trophy in hand, became a footnote anyway. Today on Puck Talk TV, we're going back to find out how that happened and what it tells us about how legacies are actually built in this league. To understand what happened to Dionne, you have to start with the night he was drafted, because Dionne wasn't allowed to be first, not even on day one. 1971 NHL Draft. 2 generational French-Canadian centers come off the board back-to-back. Montreal takes Guy Lafleur first overall. Detroit takes Marcel Dionne second. That order didn't just shape their early careers, it shaped their entire legacies. Lafleur went to Montreal, the Canadiens, the most successful franchise in hockey, with a Hall of Fame coach, a deep roster, a national platform.
Quebec Ramparts, Guy Lafleur.
He'd win 5 Stanley Cups in his first decade. Dionne went to Detroit, the Red Wings of the early 1970s, a franchise sliding into one of the worst stretches in its history. Brilliant offensive numbers for 4 seasons in a city that was losing more than it won. Massive personal stats, 0 team success. Nobody outside Detroit was paying attention. By 1975, he'd had enough. Dionne played out the option year on his contract, one of the earliest high-profile players in NHL history to exercise that kind of movement, and signed with the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings owed Detroit compensation, and an arbitrator awarded the Red Wings 2 players and a draft pick. That move sounds like a fresh start. It wasn't. He went from being ignored in Detroit to being invisible in Los Angeles. LA in 1975 wasn't a hockey city. The crowds were thin. The local coverage was minimal. He'd be playing the best hockey of his career in front of a fan base that mostly didn't notice. That decision, Detroit to Los Angeles, is the decision that erased him. But here's the thing. Dionne didn't disappear in LA. He built one of the most dominant offensive lines in NHL history, the Triple Crown line. Marcel Dionne at center, Charlie Simmer on the left wing, Dave Taylor on the right. In 1979-80, all 3 of them were elite at the same time. Dionne posted 53 goals, 84 assists, 137 points, the peak season of a Hall of Fame career. Charlie Simmer scored 56 goals on his wing. Dave Taylor was one of the most consistent two-way forwards in the league. 3 elite players on a team nobody was watching. But the Kings around them weren't a contender. Dionne wasn't a product of a great team. He was dragging a mediocre one into relevance every single night in a city where the highlight reel barely traveled past the Forum's parking lot. And in the spring of 1980, that line and that season produced the moment that should have made him a legend. Now let's be very clear about what happened in 1980, because this is the part of the story that makes everything that comes next so hard to watch. The 1979-80 NHL season ends. The scoring race comes down to 2 players. Marcel Dionne, 137 points. Wayne Gretzky, 137 points. Tied, identical. The Art Ross Trophy goes to the league's leading scorer. When two players tie, there's a tiebreaker. The tiebreaker that year was most goals scored. Marcel Dionne scored 53 goals, Wayne Gretzky scored 51. Dionne wins the Art Ross. Read that again. He won it, the hardware, the trophy that goes to the best scorer in the entire National Hockey League. Marcel Dionne walks off the ice in the spring of 1980 as the league's leading scorer. So why doesn't anyone remember that? Because the same year Dionne won the Art Ross Trophy, Wayne Gretzky won the Hart, the MVP award, at 19 years old in his first NHL season. And Gretzky was technically ineligible for the Calder because he played a season in the WHA the year before. But he won the league MVP outright. And to be fair, Gretzky was changing the sport in 1980 in ways nobody had seen before. The assist totals were historic. The hockey IQ at 19 was genuinely unprecedented. He was carrying Edmonton into relevance and rewriting what the position could look like in real time. The Hart vote wasn't crazy. But look at what it meant. Marcel Dionne was the league's leading scorer, a man with the hardware that says, in writing, you scored more than anyone else this year. And the hockey world still decided that a 19-year-old in his first NHL season who scored fewer goals and tied him in points was more valuable. That isn't a tiebreaker dispute. That isn't a snub. That's the moment the entire hockey world told you in real time which player they were going to build their next decade around. Dionne won the trophy, Gretzky won the narrative. And the narrative is what survives. Here's what happened next. Gretzky stayed in Edmonton, already loading up to become the Oilers' dynasty. Messier, Curry, Coffey, Fuhr, 4 cups in 5 years with Gretzky, a 5th after he was gone. The greatest offensive dynasty ever assembled. Dionne stayed in Los Angeles for 12 seasons. The Kings made the playoffs in most of those years. They never made a cup final. They never sniffed one. And while Gretzky's supporting cast was filling out trophy cases, Dionne's was aging and thinning. Simmer and Taylor were great. They were also it. In 1987, at age 35, Dionne was traded to the New York Rangers. He played 2 more seasons in a city that was already moving on from him. Then he retired. In 1992, he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. No national reckoning, no Remember When documentary, no reframe of his career as one of the greatest untold stories in the sport. He went in, the ceremony happened, and the hockey world moved on. If Marcel Dionne had played those 12 prime years in Montreal or Toronto, markets that lived and breathed hockey with national broadcasts and obsessive coverage, his name would be untouchable. We talk about him the way we talk about Lafleur, the way we talk about Esposito, the way we talk about every Hall of Fame center who put up Hall of Fame numbers in a market that knew what they were watching. But he didn't play in Montreal or Toronto, he played in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles in 1978 didn't care. So here's the legacy. 731 goals, 1,771 points. When Marcel Dionne retired in 1989, he was second on the all-time goals list, behind only Gordie Howe, just one name ahead of him. Today, that number has slipped. Gretzky passed him, Jagr passed him, a handful of others have too. But the spot he held when he walked off the ice tells you everything about what he actually was as a player. And for 40 years, nobody went back to fix it. So I'll leave you with the question this whole video has been circling. If the numbers are all that matter, Marcel Dionne is a top 5 player in this league's history. If geography matters, what does that say about every other player grinding it out in a market that isn't watching? Drop your take in the comments. Marcel Dionne didn't lose his legacy in a game, he lost it in a city that wasn't ready for him. If you've learned something today, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It genuinely helps us grow this channel and keep making content like this.